Welcome to NomadMedia, Automotive Tales, where we tell vehicle stories, a little bit of history, and some unique and personal experiences. Let's get right into it. Welcome back, and today we have Ralph Gesin with his 1942 armored scout car, and we're here again today at the U.S. Veterans Memorial Museum. This is one of their display pieces here, and Ralph was actually the person to restore this, and I'm assuming you bought it too, like bought it new. You didn't buy it new, did you?
No. In fact, this scout car is actually a combination of two scout cars that we had to buy in order to come up with enough parts.
Okay. So you picked up two of these, and I'm guessing from surplus or something like that?
I got it from a dealer up in Minnesota, Midwest Military, and he had it on his lot and for sale for several years.
So what's the story there? Did he just buy it he wanted to...
I think the story is he actually bought it to restore, and then he came across some earlier ones that were in better condition, thus he had this one available for sale. And of course, that's kind of his business, is to
buy military vehicles.
And sell military vehicles and parts.
Okay, and so what kind of convinced you to go towards this? And I kind of didn't just hand it off to you here, but let me hand it off to you to get your story here, because obviously with knowing that, it went to somebody else. They were planning to restore it, so you bought this unrestored then.
Correct.
And then you went to restore it. So what made you want to do that? Why an armored scout car?
I had a 67 M715 5/4 ton truck, and we were lined up at the Veterans Day Museum, or excuse me, the Veterans Day Parade with the museum.
Yeah.
And they had their M8 armored car parked in front of me. Of course, as the troops come in to line up for the parade, they're all over that M8 armored car, oohing and awing, and they walk right past my restored Army truck and don't even give it a second glance. Yeah. And I think to myself, I've got to get something better.
Oh, you had the itch. You had the car guy itch, but with military vehicles. So this is the car guy itch. You know, you get out there at a car show, you've got your car, you think it's really cool, then no one looks at it. And just somebody walks by and they're like walking next to the next vehicle over, and it's like,
always the car next to yours.
Oh, yeah. You've got to step up your game. So this is you stepping up your game here, then.
Yes, and originally I was wanting to get a half track.
Yeah.
But the cost of tracks was prohibitive, so I ended up with this because I could afford tires and not tracks.
Well, this is really cool, and you know, half track. We've got one here. Y'all have one here at the museum. I say we've got one now. Y'all have one here at the museum, but I am wearing a shirt. But they have half track here at the museum, so if you ever wonder what that is, definitely come to the museum and check it out. Always gonna push that out there. This place is cool and it's definitely worth coming to see. But I can see, the half track is cool, but this right here, man, this is definitely unique in its own right. So I don't really know. I haven't looked over the half track myself, so I'm kind of and I'm not a military guru or anything like that, but this is a cool vehicle. So
thanks.
Is this one I'll ask you some more questions as you go here, but please carry.
So once I decided I was going to do a scout car instead of a half track, I did this search for what was available, and it turns out that Midwest Military had the best one for the best price.
Yeah.
And so I went up and looked at it, arranged to have it hauled down here. And like I said, it was two, because the first one, or the major donor, was used as a salt truck up at Lake Erie after post-war. So the rear half of it was completely rusted away. The frame members were paper thin. And so actually the donor, we used its frame and rolling chassis, and then everything else came off the salt truck, including most of the armor.
Okay, so this was a salt truck then. And for people out there who don't know what a salt truck is, because this is not common in Alabama, but up north, the roads have to get salted every winter. So, and that's what they used it for. That's kind of wild that they used a military scout car or scout truck as a salt vehicle. Like, I don't know what normal salt vehicles look like.
Well, I think post-war, they were so readily available and so cheap that all the municipalities were able to get whatever they needed. And so if it's free, you know, you're gonna
well, I guess that
get it and repurpose it to whatever you need.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense actually then. Okay, well, yeah. And so you took the frame and everything off the donor, and then you took the back portion?
The engine, the transmission, all the front armor came off we'll say the original.
Yeah.
And then the rear armor, I'm not sure where that came from because it was all just stacked up in a pile when I got it.
So when you say rear armor here, so like I can see kind of the paneling here?
Like from the door back would be the rear armor.
Okay, so the rear armor is literally what you see back there with the stars, like, or where the star is.
Yes.
Okay, wow, that's a lot of rust, man. That's a lot of rust. But let me ask you here then, under the hood here, you were mentioning the engine and things. Like, do you know much about the engines in these? Like, what can you tell me about that?
It's an inline six.
Inline six?
It's about all I can tell you.
Okay.
We of course, tore the motor completely apart and went down to a machine shop outside Eva.
Yeah.
And they bored it, they rebuilt the head, and then we put the engine back together.
Okay. Well, I mean, hey, that's...
So it's a rebuilt engine.
And this thing runs and drives, like you were saying, since this is a parade vehicle too. Like, I guess you've used it in a parade at least.
And it was used extensively in the honor flight out at the airport on the Fridays before they flew out.
Okay, yeah, nice. Like, so you've got some use out of this then, and
yes.
Did it provide what you wanted for going to from the you called it a 715? 715?
715, yeah.
From going from the 715 to the scout car, did you get the reaction you were hoping for?
Absolutely.
You did. So now go ahead.
The best part was, out of the whole thing, was taking this out to the airport for the honor flight ceremonies on Friday evening, and the veterans.
Yeah.
And their reaction to it. So that in itself was enough to justify doing the whole thing.
I bet you that makes you feel really proud of what you did here too.
Absolutely.
Like, because I can imagine taking something out there and one, getting the recognition for it, but two, like it being the veterans. Because I know that means a lot to you and everybody here at the museum to actually support and give back to the veterans, right?
Right.
So it's like, I can only imagine the feeling of satisfaction y'all get from that. But
yeah, it is. It's quite the feeling.
Well, tell me this. How did you get involved here at the museum and everything then? Like, how did this kind of pan out here? Like, was it because now this is displayed at the museum, so how did that happen? Because like you were saying, you're driving around at the parades first. How do you get involved with the museum here?
Well, the parades and the honor flight and all that were through the museum. And I'm not exactly sure how I met Randy, but it was probably me coming around here looking for help.
Okay.
And they provided help, and then the relationship just grew.
Yeah.
But the reason it's sitting here is because once Randy realized I was going to restore it, and once I started restoring it, every time I saw Randy, he was wanting to know when I was bringing the scout car to the museum.
Oh,
so his persistence paid off.
So he's a little bit of a headhunter then. Just to joke a little bit here.
Yeah, I'm sure he's been called worse. Yeah.
Tell us about the interior here on the Scout car a little bit, because unlike the first Jeep here that we did a few months back here, or a few weeks ago, this one here has obviously more seating. It's a little bit bigger of a vehicle, or at least I hope that's visible here, considering this towers over me. But you've got a different seating arrangement in there. Can you tell us particulars?
Yeah, there's the driver.
Yep.
Obviously.
Oh yeah, there's got to be a driver.
What we would call the passenger seat is actually called the commander's seat.
Okay.
And then there's seats in the back for 4 crew.
So this is a 6-person vehicle then.
Yes.
In normal operation.
Right.
And what would the purpose for this vehicle be?
Well,
Like-
it's in the name, scouting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, scout.
Well, I guess that's
To go out
that's
and
easy.
locate the enemy, yes.
For someone who's not accustomed to that, it's like I kind of just glanced way over the name here, like, whoa, wait.
And it's I don't know if I would say it was lightly armed. It's got a M2 50 cal, and then it's normally got 2 30 cal machine guns on the rail also, but here we don't have the 30s, just the 50.
Lightly gunned with
Yeah.
a 50 cal. Yeah, for the average Joe out there, like the 50 cal that you can clearly see up there. So yeah, that's a 50 cal. That's light. But yeah, was all this kind of standard equipment here on the side, like
Yeah.
the gas tank and the shovel and things like
Yeah,
that?
there's an axe on the other side, and then there's supposed to be a pickaxe on this side also, but
What was the purposes of those things? Can you shed some light on that for me, or?
I guess to
Mine's-
dig yourself out if you get stuck.
Hey, no worries there, man.
I don't think in all my years in the Army, I don't think I ever took a shovel off the side of a truck and used it for something,
Okay.
other than to lay it out for inspection.
Well, I guess until you get in the situation, it's not necessarily something you're like, oh wait, this is what it's got to be for. So, what can you tell me about this roller that's on the front of this vehicle? Because that's a different piece here.
Yeah, it's called the anti-ditching roller, and it's used when you go down into a ditch. When you strike the other side, the roller will hit it and spin, so you can drive yourself up out of the ditch.
Oh, okay.
Now, of course, it wasn't very successful, and that's why now, like on the half tracks and stuff, instead of an anti-ditching roller, you've got a winch.
You know, I think thinking about that now that you've explained it to me a little bit here, going back to the Pygmy, the first Jeep. So for people who don't know what a Pygmy is, the first Jeep over there, I was mentioning how the tires are kind of like four-wheeler tires, and anyone that ever has done off-roading, they've probably got into that situation more than once, where they're face like nose
Approach
down.
angle and their departure angles were all goofed up. Yeah.
Yeah, and like it sounds like something that would work, and you're saying it didn't necessarily perform
It wasn't
that well.
didn't perform that well. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
why they went to winches.
That's an interesting way that the military, I'm assuming, tried to address that issue there. That's interesting right there.
Yeah, and in fact, that roller that's on it was a new old stock roller, still in the
Oh
wooden
wow,
case or
Oh.
crate when I got it.
that's
And in
impressive.
fact, what's more interesting is that my wife
Mm-hmm.
helped me install that on the front of the scout car.
Oh wow, like how did you find that?
There's just a network of dealers and people that, there's Jeep parts guys,
Yeah.
and then there's a subcategory of like armored car parts guys or half-track part guys.
Yeah.
And so you just dial into that network, and that's how you locate the parts.
Okay,
And
so
of course, all these parts were located 20 years ago. So if you were to try to do this restoration today, I don't know if you probably wouldn't find all the parts, and two, the cost would just be astronomical. I don't
Oh,
think
yeah.
you could have. I couldn't afford to restore it.
oh lordy,
Yes,
like
it's been-
oh, and mentioning that, you said it's 20-year-old restoration here.
Yeah, I think it was 2004, 2005, 2006 when this was done.
Oh wow, oh wow, yeah, I would have never guessed that. Like
Yeah, it's been in the museum here 6 years.
6 years.
7
Well,
years,
they're
yeah.
definitely doing a good job taking care of. I'm assuming your baby here.
Yeah.
But with this armor plating on it, though, it's like not much is going to hurt the thing, right?
Well, yeah, the body and all of the vehicle is a 1/4-inch steel plate that's face hardened, and then the only thicker armor is right over the windshield, which is 1/2 inch.
I guess that makes sense too. Like if you're getting shot at,
You
don't
can
want
lower
your-
it, and there's got viewing ports. Yeah,
Yeah, don't want your person behind the windshield getting
shot up,
catching
yeah.
a stray.
And then you probably notice that all the screw heads, countersunk screws that are holding all the armor on, they're all oriented vertically,
Yeah,
which is a white, who's the manufacturer. That's one of their things.
so that's a detail from the OEM when you restore
Right.
it. And you just like, hey, let's make sure this is correct to
Yes.
this factory. And there's a lot of screws on this. So in the camera over there, if you see all the little divots here, I don't know best way to describe them, but the little bumps that you can kind of see on the body, each of those is a screw head, and each of them has the screw vertical. So, and there'll be a picture here so you know exactly what I'm talking about. See if I can get it in my hands here for once, you know. But,
and what was interesting is the friends I had helping me put the armor on, they would intentionally turn them anyway but vertical, just so I would have to go back later and fix them.
Those are good friends right
yeah,
there.
Good friends.
Definitely friends to keep around, you know. But I'm sure you appreciated the help getting it done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's always more fun restoring a vehicle. Now, I've never restored a military vehicle, so I'm speaking from a different world here. But it's always more fun to do it with friends.
Absolutely.
Whether they're screwing with you or not.
Right.
Literally screwing with you.
That's right.
But
so one other detail on this is one of the few vehicles other than some half tracks that have the skate rail.
okay, so what is a skate rail?
It's a rail that goes around the inside perimeter of the vehicle that trolleys or skates fit on it, so you're able to move them machine guns anywhere in any direction you'd want without
Okay, so if
much effort.
So if I got this right, then you saw a trolley or a skate. I'm just thinking some type of like roller.
It's got rollers in it, just like
and you attach the gun to that.
Right.
Okay, and so then you can get the full 360. And I'm
360, right.
So your small gun up here, just to go back on that, like it's 50 cal, man. That's not small to the average person. Maybe not to a military man, but you know, that's not a small gun. But so you put your small gun onto this trolley. So I don't know how much a 50 cal weighs. Are they heavy? Like, is this like something that's not easily just move around like AR or something, or or I guess it'd be M16 is the military version, I think, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the weight on it is, but it's not something that you would easily traverse.
Okay, so that was a big deal then to have that on the car. That way you can actually do your. I'm guessing this is it all. You said it's all the way around. So is it full 360?
Full 360.
So it goes all the way to the back and everything.
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
So yeah, you get your full range then there. If you got enemies on the left or enemies on the right, you can get over there.
You can get over there, right.
Well, man, that's a cool little thing there. And you said it's not on all of them.
Some half tracks have it.
Some half tracks, and then some of the scout cars.
All the scout cars, all the M3 scout cars.
Okay, yeah, that's a neat little thing there, or little neat. I'm thinking the gun still. Like I'm still stuck on the gun. How do you call a 50 cal small, man?
Yeah, right. But you know, the skate rails is not a original. It's a reproduction from a guy out in California.
Okay.
And it came in 4 or 5 pieces.
Okay.
And he shipped it to me on a Greyhound bus.
Oh, wow.
And so when it showed up at the bus station here in Huntsville, I get this guy calling me up. I got this package for you. And it was just all that steel strapped together on a pallet. And we went down and picked it up. And then we had, of course, had to mount it in the scout car and weld the sections together and then grind and finish the rail so the skates would actually be able to travel smoothly and freely.
Okay, so it's a reproduction part.
It's a reproduction part.
Well, that's neat that you could at least find a reproduction part like that, because I can imagine not many people outside of the military, because I know I don't know what that is, like, but it's like, probably don't know what that is, so you have to find a military man that's probably
the timing was perfect.
Fabrication side.
The guy was making, 4 or 5 of them, and I got hold of him and he still had one left,
Well, man, that's actually really cool. Like, it's really cool to think about. But with that, though, I mean, I think we've told a lot of the story of this vehicle here. Like, I want to say, like, I greatly appreciate you for having me and talking to me about this, and definitely appreciate your service and everything that the veterans do, of course. And I know that I can't wait to see the parade since y'all brought it up to me. Whether it's, I don't know the date, if it's before or after this goes live, but I'm definitely going to be there. It's definitely going to be something to see. It's a new experience for me. But as for that, like, I greatly appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. Is there anything that maybe you might like to tell somebody that may be watching?
No, it's been a pleasure. And you need to get down to Port Road and the Veterans Memorial Museum.
Yeah, definitely. And just to restate that, the U.S. Veteran Memorial Museum, Huntsville, Alabama. Come down here and check it out. The scout car's in here. You definitely want to look at this thing in person. It is cool. I got one question.
Sure.
Do you happen to know the curb weight of this vehicle with all that steel on it?
No, I'm not sure, but I remember we had it out at Bridge Street, and the lady was concerned about the suspended garages. But I think their max weight was 9. They couldn't support more than 9,000 pounds, so we're under that.
So it's under 9,000 then?
Yeah.
Okay, well that leaves a lot of thought there in the side.
Yeah, I mean, because all that armor, that's, yeah.
Yeah, but sorry for the last curveball there,
No,
but
that's fine.
man, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
And just to mention again, U.S. Veteran Memorial Museum in Huntsville. It'll be linked in the description below. Get up here when you get a chance to check out all the cool vehicles. You can see they've got small gun vehicles, and then they've got big gun vehicles, which you might be able to see them in the background as well. So, but with that, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
See you at the next car show.
There you have it, folks. Be sure you like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.